Welcome to Becoming a Sleep Consultant. I'm your host, Jane Havens, a certified sleep consultant and founder of both Snooze Fest by Jane Havens and Center for Pediatric Sleep Management. On this podcast, I'll be discussing the business side of sleep consulting. You'll have an insider's view on launching, growing, and even scaling a sleep consulting business. This is not a podcast about sleep training. This is a podcast about business building and entrepreneurship.
Every once in a while, I get to record an episode that feels especially meaningful, and this conversation is one of them. Today on the podcast, I'm talking with Sam, someone I've actually known since we were babies. Life has a funny way of bringing things full circle. Years after reconnecting during her pregnancy, Sam found herself searching for something that would give her purpose beyond the day-to-day of raising a toddler. That search ultimately led her to become a certified sleep consultant through Center for Pediatric Sleep Management. What I love about Sam's story is how real it is. She didn't launch with a polished website or a big marketing plan. In fact, she still doesn't have a website. She signed her first client, supported that family really well, and the referrals naturally followed. Today, she's working with multiple families at a time, building her business around her busy life as a new mom. In this episode, we talk about what it actually looks like to start a sleep consulting business in real life, the fears that come along with being an entrepreneur, the learning curve that happens in the early months, the importance of boundaries, and how meaningful it is to find work that truly lights you up. If you've ever wondered whether it's possible to build something yourself while still prioritizing your family, Sam's story is a really powerful example of what that can look like. And if you're someone who's been sitting on the fence, feeling really excited about this work, but also scared to start, I think you'll find her story especially encouraging. Sam, welcome to the Becoming a Sleep Consultant podcast. I'm so excited to talk to you today.
Thanks, Jane. I'm so happy to be here.
Before we get started, tell everyone a little bit about you, share your story, and tell us why you decided to become a certified sleep consultant.
So first, I'll start off by saying that I have a 2.5-year-old son that I used to work in TV. And I worked until I was 9 months pregnant with him, very naive that I would actually go back into that life. It wasn't until he was born that I realized that was not going to happen. And so I was a stay-at-home mom for the first about year and a half. Candidly, Jane and I know each other since we've been little girls. And when I was pregnant with him, I was really concerned about what was going to happen when he was born with sleep. And so Jane, I reached out to you and I had a bunch of questions, kind of panicked, and we hadn't spoken in so long, and instantly you calmed me and made me realize that I can't control something with a baby that's not even born yet. And like, let's talk later. And there was something about that conversation that always stuck with me, especially because I didn't have a lot of a support system. I was 40 when I had my son, and most of my friends had older kids, and I was really lost and alone when I was pregnant and when he was newly born. And so that always really stuck with me. And I kind of really started focusing on sleep and getting him to sleep really well. And when it came time to decide what I wanted to do for myself, I thought about sleep. And I remembered our conversation, and I remembered seeing the success that you had, not only as a sleep consultant, but also with the school. And I reached back out to you and I was like, hey, I really want to do this. And I was finally at a point where my son was old enough that I could start to do something for myself. And I enrolled and I finished it really quickly, which was for the first time in my life, finished something so quickly because I was so passionate and interested in it. And here we are.
Here we are. Yeah. For everybody listening, Sam and I have known each other since we were babies. We literally have pictures of the two of us on a playmat together as 8-month-old little babies. And I remember that conversation that we had before your son was born. And I just remember thinking, man, she's on top of her stuff. If she wants to get organized before this baby even arrives, good for her. Because when I was pregnant with my son and he was born, 13 years ago, it never occurred to me to prepare for sleep before he arrived. And that was actually something that's now sort of my go-to bit of advice for pregnant women is read a book on sleep now, because when the baby's born, you're going to be too tired to do that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, I remember thinking, man, she has her stuff together. She's thinking clearly, like what a smart cookie. And you were so organized about his sleep. I don't remember, like, when did you actually get him sleeping well? Did you sleep train him, or did you put into place some sleep shaping from the beginning? What did that look like?
So it's actually interesting. We live in New York City, and I was always very used to being on the go, just with working. So I had a very hard time sitting still when he was first born. We did a lot of stroller naps, a lot of walking around, and I got him to adapt to really any sleep situation really early. So while it wasn't formal sleep shaping, I do feel like the way that I kind of went about his early days really helped him to sleep well when I put him in the crib. We officially, quote, sleep trained around 4 months, but he went to sleep pretty quickly. And I feel like a lot of that is because of the shaping, informal shaping that I did early. So we never really had to do very much. And I consider myself very lucky in that sense, because I know it's not that way for everyone. But we've also had a lot of challenges since then. And I feel like we've had a lot of regressions. They've hit him really big at different milestones. And now when I have people talk to me, I have clients call and say that something's happened around something like crawling or walking, I can relate because I went through that not too long ago with my son, which I think has benefited me a lot in these early moments in this business.
Yeah. So you did finish the course very quickly, and you did such a great job. I was so
Thank
proud
you.
of you. You submitted that final assignment, and I was like, great job. Fantastic. I'm
Thank
so
you.
proud. So I think you graduated the course almost exactly a year ago.
Yeah, it was a year,
It was
February.
exactly a year ago. And it took a little bit for you to actually start supporting families. I think you were just busy with
Yeah,
life. Like, you sort of had a little bit of a break,
yeah.
and in the beginning of this year is really when you got your business off the ground. What has it been like? What does it look like to actually start supporting families?
So I started my business. I graduated in February and I got my LLC in April or May of 2025. And I was so excited to start, but life. I had a new 2-year-old. We were about to start school for the first time. Then I volunteered for every committee at school. And so that took up all my time. And I was missing something. And that was this thing that I wanted to do for myself. Like, I was doing things for him and for our family, but I wanted to do this for myself. So I had my first client in December, and I have been incredibly busy with referrals from that one client. I never started my website, even though I own the address.
You have the website
I
domain,
have
but
the
you don't
website.
have like
Sure
you
do.
don't have an
Still
actual
said,
website.
still coming. Correct.
Mhm.
I have had grand plans to do that. And I am the kind of person that I really want to do everything myself. Even though there's a million different companies out there that generate invoices and emails, I'm doing it all myself. That's just my personality. I don't think it will always be that way. I hope that I'm busy enough that I can't do that. But in that fashion, I wanted to do my website myself. So it has just been sitting, trying to find time to do it. So I had this client, it was a 4 month old. Parents were really nervous. They were sleep training. It went beautifully. And somehow it snowballed into enough referrals that I'm supporting 4 or 5 families at a time just from that one client. There have been others that have found me in other groups that I've commented in, putting myself out there, but the majority of this is stemmed from that one client, which has been amazing and really wild. And just I feel really fortunate that this is the way that the business is kicking off.
What type of experience did you provide for that family that ultimately led to all of this business coming your way? Like, what was so amazing about that 2 week consultation?
So for me, I think the way that I go into approaching a client is I almost, going back to what I said before, I kind of want to give them what I didn't have, which is a support system. I have wonderful friends. I have amazing family. I have great people around me, but I just didn't have anybody close to me with the exception of some friends that I met here in the city that had kids my age, or my son's age rather. And so I approached it in a way that like, I'm here for you. I'm also here for you if you have any other questions that might fall out of sleep a little bit. I wanted us to be really comfortable where they felt like they were coming to a friend for advice and not feeling badly if they didn't follow the plan in some way. And I just really made it at least I tried to make it a very enjoyable 2 weeks. And I really focused on making them feel good when things went really well. And it was a tricky one. The baby was in daycare and they had no control over everything. And I was nervous that it wasn't going to go well. And I think giving them that positive feedback helped them want to continue. And I was very, very grateful to have such a great first client. And then very grateful they told all their friends.
Of course. One of the things that I love most about the work that we do is that parents come to us thinking that this experience of sleep training their baby is going to be the worst parenting experience ever. That's the mindset that they have oftentimes when they reach out. And then we are able to come in and give them this positive experience where we empower them to teach their baby to sleep in a new way. And they're expecting
Yeah.
it to be so terrible. And they actually sometimes end up, dare I say,
Yeah.
enjoying the experience. And I think that transformation, that realization that they have is really just so transformative that it oftentimes leads to referrals.
Yeah. It was funny. I had the first night with a new client last night, 4.5 months old. And the dad took the lead because the mom didn't really want to be there for, the crying and watching the monitor, especially. I said, focus on the monitor and see the progress. That's the part. Instead of listening, focusing. And the dad said to me, he goes, I'm actually enjoying this. He goes,
Yeah.
because I'm seeing that she's putting her head down and I'm seeing that she's trying, but her body is still. And so if I was just listening to her as opposed to watching her, I would feel completely differently about this. And he used the words, he goes, I'm actually enjoying this. And I said, I know it's actually really rewarding to see when this happens because your baby is trying. And even though it can be painful to hear them when they're crying, it's a new thing that they're experiencing and it's not necessarily bad. And that's been one of the big surprises, or the dads. I've had a couple dads who, in the beginning in the kickoff call, you could tell they were on their phone, not really paying attention. And then in the end, it was the dad that was just so grateful and happy about how things turned out.
Yeah, 100%. Talk to me about logistically what it's looking like for you to run and grow this business of yours. I know you have your hands full
Yeah.
with your 2-year-old and you have friends and a busy life. And what's the day to day? What does it look like?
So right now, the age he is, it is a little challenging. And so I know that I can't grow it past a certain point only because I only have so much time. I really focus my time on the mornings when he's in school and the nap time, which will have him hold on to forever, even if it means bedtime's a little late. And the evenings, I do take evening hours. I try to keep weekends for family, but I also understand that sometimes it's better to do weekends sometimes, especially if you want both parents on a call. So really, it's pockets of time. It's never feels like enough, but just enough that so far I'm getting done what I need to get done. I wish I had more time, but I feel like everybody wishes that. I wish I have time to build my website, which I'm hoping to do at some point. But at the same time, I hope to have clients like this where I don't have the time. So it's a real catch. So my day to day is depending on how many families I'm supporting, whether I'm spending the time writing plans during those pockets of 2, 3 hour times or having kickoff calls, lots of discovery calls, don't always end in clients, but I take every discovery call I possibly can because all of it is just learning what I can change, what I can do differently. I've gotten off calls where I've said that did not go well. And that's okay. But I now know for next time that maybe I shouldn't say the thing that I said, or maybe I should phrase something a little differently. I lost them there. And so I look at all of that as just learning experiences. And this is so new. I'm still learning with everything.
Have you put any boundaries into place around your business and your work just for the sake of making sure that you continue to enjoy it, making sure that you continue to be able to prioritize your family?
It's interesting. I did have one client that I felt that maybe could benefit from better boundaries. I felt like she got a little too comfortable, more of a friend than this is a client, asking a lot of it wasn't working for me. I did not feel comfortable with where it was going. And so I'm now much better about letting everyone know I'm here to support you. But at the same time, I also have a toddler at home. And so at 8 o'clock, I'm not going to answer until my son is in bed. And if I'm with him, I will get back to you at a certain point in time, but I'm also going to stay off my phone if we're trying to have meaningful connection there. So uh, it's kind of a mix of wanting to spend as much time as I can growing this. And that means maybe a little bit of time away from my family, but also making sure he's not seeing me always on my phone or always on my computer, even though he has a little computer himself and he says he's doing work with me,
I love that.
which is sweet. So I'm still figuring out that balance. It's a work in progress for sure, and both with clients and with my home life.
Yeah. I also think that boundaries in our businesses sometimes can feel like a moving target because depending on where you are in your life, what season you're in, and it literally could be the season of spring break from school, not
Yeah.
necessarily like a, right? Sometimes the rules change or you have to put things into place that feel a little different temporarily to keep your own life afloat. And I don't know, I've seen it change from the time that I first started my business. I really felt like I had no boundaries because I just wanted to build my business.
Yeah.
So I was taking calls at times that I really didn't necessarily want to be taking calls just because I didn't want to turn the calls away. And now I'm much better about saying, you know what, that time actually doesn't work for me, but here's what I can do instead. And then also I took a call at 9 o'clock last night. I was feeling like I wanted to say yes. We're like
Right.
normally
Yeah.
like 9 o'clock, I'm in bed, I'm watching a show or I'm writing a sleep plan, but I'm certainly not taking calls usually at 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And something in my heart told me to take the call. So I did. And I think that we have to, as we're growing our own businesses and as we're sort of like moving the train along, we have to always check in with ourselves and say, does this feel right? Is this working for me? And if not, what changes can I make so that I still enjoy this and want
Yeah.
to be doing this work long term?
Yeah.
And your son's in preschool, what, like a few hours, a few times a week right now?
No, yeah, he's there right now 5 days a week. By the time I get home, I have maybe 3 hours.
Right.
So it's definitely, I'm fitting a lot into a small period of time. I have a wonderful husband who, when he's done work, takes the lead so I can get some stuff done during dinner time and on the weekends. But, time management is a really crucial part of this. And it's also something that has been wonderful because in the past, I wasn't great with time management. I didn't have responsibility. I didn't have a child. I was in New York and just living. And so it's been helpful for me outside of the business too, to really
Yeah.
focus on making the time that I have matter, both with the business and also in my personal life.
Yeah. Your story reminds me a lot of my own in that, I think we both were looking for something to give us purpose and passion and meaning beyond raising our children, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel like this is filling your heart and your mind in that way? It's like filling the void and it's giving you something that you really were craving in your own life beyond, the day to day with your family?
100%. I loved, I say my previous life. I
Me
loved
too. I say that too.
working in TV. Like I loved it. I thought I was going to do it forever. And the truth is, I've been married for 10 years this year. And when I thought about having a child, I'm like, I love my life. I don't, want to do this. And I finally got to a point where I'm like, hey, I do now. And thankfully we have a wonderful, beautiful boy. But I also wanted to advance my life in my previous life, but I never did it. And I always kind of, not now, but then regretted, like, why didn't I take this leap? And now I know why, because it wasn't meant for me. And it wasn't until I had Jordan that I realized, like, I love everything about parenthood and everything about sleep and everything about helping people. And so suddenly it was like, okay, this is what I can do to help everyone else, but like, this is also what I can do to help myself. And it has been very fulfilling. And I also love that I have my own business. Like, I love that I have my own company. And, all of those things meshed together. I have discovered a piece of myself that I didn't know was there because I was always working for other people to do something that, you know, didn't really matter at the end of the day. And I feel like this does.
Where do you envision your business a few years from now? I'm thinking when Jordan's in kindergarten and
Yeah.
you have maybe actually a full day to
Yeah.
dedicate to this. Do you envision your business growing as your time becomes more available, or do you think you'll always keep it a part-time thing?
No, I want this to be full time. I really hope that I get to a place where this can be my life and I can contribute to my family. I can contribute for myself, and I I have all kinds of ideas of where, this could potentially go, and they're all really exciting. And I know that it takes time to build a business, and it takes time to put your name out there and actually become reputable past a whole group of friends plus, a few random people. And so I hope it's just this big thing that I can be really proud of and that he can be proud of. So this is where I hope to be for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was the idea of becoming an entrepreneur scary for you or exciting for you?
I think it was a little of both. It was scary because I had no idea what I was doing in terms of I never had an office job or I never did anything on a computer. All of it felt, shy of being on the internet or whatever. But the actual work was something that I just was not familiar with. And so that was really scary. But it was also really exciting because I was doing something that I was really passionate about, and I knew that I had full control over it, and I wasn't doing something for someone else. And so I dove in head first when I graduated, and I'm like, we're going to do all this, and then life, because of course. And then, I think you have to take that first step. And it's really hard to take that first step, and you keep kicking it down the road. And I did for so long. And finally, I got to a point where I'm like, enough. I did this and let's get moving. And I just needed to sign that first client. And then once I did that, I was all in. And you know, all the struggles and trying to fit in doing the course when I could and building the business, the LLC, and figuring out all the tedious things that no one really wants to do all became worth it and exciting, I would say equally, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say to somebody listening who's on the fence and thinking about jumping in? I don't know. I mean, I talk to people all day long who are either working in office jobs or they're home with their kids and they're looking for something that really lights them up and makes them feel excited about the work that they're doing. And yet they're so scared of failure. They're so scared that they're just never going to make it. And I don't know, I don't really operate in that mind space, but I know that most people do. And I'm wondering like what do you say to someone like that? I think you see both sides of it. Like you're a little scared and you're like, I'm going anyway, right?
Yeah. I never really allowed myself to think that this wouldn't work. I don't, I never, it was never a thought in my mind. And sure, I mean, am I bringing in a massive income? Of course not. I just started. Like I think just the way we tell clients expectations, I think expectations of this are really important and that it does take time. It's not going to happen overnight for anybody. And even though I'm grateful to be really busy right now, eventually this particular well is going to dry up and I'm going to need to network and put myself out there. And that will take time as well. And so it's perfectly understandable to be scared that you may not succeed. But also, I feel like if you're really passionate about something and you actually want to do something, you're going to naturally attract people. And I think that if you are wanting to do this work and you're wanting to actually help people and you put yourself out there and they see that, then they're going to want to work with you too. And not everyone's going to be the fit for everyone. Everyone has different personalities. I've certainly had a lot of calls with people. It was very clear we didn't mesh. But for all those people, there are other people who do. So I think anyone who says that they're not scared in some way, I think I don't buy that. I think that it's a good feeling to be scared. That means that you care.
Yeah.
And I say just go for it. You don't have to finish the course as quickly as I did. You don't have to put all your eggs in one basket necessarily. Like this can be a part-time thing. You can do this with another job that you have. It's perfectly manageable that you can take your time to do the course and maybe take on one client a month. Or you can do what I'm doing, which is fit it into your life. I have a 2.5-year-old with no family, no childcare, and a husband who works really hard and really long hours, and I'm fitting it in. And everyone can find a way to fit it into their life if it's something that they feel called to do.
Yeah. I think that you really want to be doing this. Like it's enjoyable for you. It brings you happiness and satisfaction and pride. And when you feel that way, you want to go out and get more of it, right?
Yeah.
Like sometimes in my work, I feel like busy and overwhelmed, but in the same breath, I also want more of it because it brings me so much joy, even when
Yeah.
I'm overwhelmed, and when you truly love the work, it's like you got to get more of it.
Yeah.
It's you crave more of it.
What I started doing is when I got a comment from a client in our group chats, I took a screenshot. Like if it's something really meaningful or something that I wanted to remember, I've taken a screenshot of the conversation and I created an album in my phone. And when things are not going well or I'm really frustrated, which is something that happened to me yesterday, and I came into this conversation just feeling frustrated about a specific situation, I'll look at that album and I'll remind myself, like, this is actually fun and helpful. And seeing a dad who was not interested in the beginning thank me so much for everything. And then another dad reached out to me because the two boys were talking and he took the lead. Like, those are the things that I feel like keep you going. And so, even though we're helping other people, there are ways that we can also help ourselves to remind ourselves why we're doing this and why we want to. And I think that, that has helped me in some of the frustrating moments, especially in the beginning of this when I'm still figuring out how to navigate, certain situations.
Yeah. And I think the tricky situations that you're navigating currently in the very early months of your business are all ultimately just going to make you better at your job. And without going into the details, the current tricky situation that you're up against is really just a situation where like you want a little bit more from the experience than the mom. Like she's
Yeah,
fine that it, right? Like, in the grand scheme of things, this is really a lot of the things that we come up against that feel hard. Sometimes they're harder for us than they are for our clients because we know what it could be if they just like gave it their all,
which
right?
is
And
so
so
frustrating.
we know, like we could get them a slam dunk. We know that this could be totally resolved within 3 to 7 days. And they just aren't there yet. But also they're not upset. They're not mad. They're just
Yeah,
on their own trajectory. They're on their own timeline. And I think with experience, the situations that feel really hard now, like if the same exact situation happens 6 months from now, you're literally not even going to give it too much worry or thought. It's going to be a non-factor,
yeah,
So all of these little things that happen in the early months of our business careers, like they feel so big and then they happen again later and you're like, oh, no big deal. That's
yeah.
nothing.
And it's so interesting because my whole thing, and I know what we do is it's a mindset shift, right? Like it's shifting the way that you're thinking. You're not letting your baby cry. You're allowing them to the space to figure out how to sleep in a new way. Like one thing. And we came into this conversation and you gave me a mindset shift, which is this isn't going terribly. It's actually going well for her. And so, another really great aspect of all of this is just like the community that we have. And I think that is essential. It's been really helpful for me. And it's also been helpful when I can now sort of chime in and give advice where I feel comfortable just because I've started working. Because I'm asking for so much and I want to be able to give it back, but I'm also not going to comment when I'm not familiar with the situation. But I think that uh, we're entrepreneurs and have our own businesses, but we're also a community. And you also have so much support from other people. And I think that that's invaluable. And the motivation I think that everyone gives each other is really helpful. And so I don't think that any of us, in my opinion, could do this work without having each other.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's
this
exactly
is,
right.
you get a built-in community too. It's great.
Yeah, I know. It's so special. And I know you feel like you've been taking from the community, but I know from just people who I know you've helped that is not true, that you've also provided a ton of support to other people inside of our community. And it really, truly is a very, very special corner of the internet that,
It is.
I feel lucky to be a part of with people like you. Normally, I would say share your social media, tell me your website, but you don't have it, which is fantastic. I love that. If you want to share your domain so that one day when it pops up, we'll all know what it is. But I love that you don't have one because I think that so many people who are interested in getting into this field, they worry about that. Like, how am I ever going to make a website? I'm scared of social media. I don't want to be on social media. And you're sort of proof in the pudding that you don't need all of that to be successful. But if you want to share your non-existent website, go for it.
So eventually it will be gotobedsleepyhead.com. That's the name of my business, which is on all my invoices and the people who I work with know it. But other than that, they don't. But I hope that it's a name that's definitely out there sometime soon.
Okay.
For sure. I'm excited to expand and to have a presence, but I'm also here to say that you don't need it and it doesn't need to be the first thing that you do. Just get yourself out there. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, this was really a fantastic conversation. It was so fun catching up with you. Old friendships, I think, live forever, right? And I wish you all the success in your business. I am so proud of everything you've done in a very short period of time, and we'll just have to keep checking in.
Thanks, Jane.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Becoming a Sleep Consultant podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, it would mean so much to me if you would rate, review, and subscribe. When you rate, review, and subscribe, this helps the podcast reach a greater audience. I am so grateful for your support. If you would like to learn more about how you can become a certified sleep consultant, head over to my Facebook group, Becoming a Sleep Consultant, or to my website, thecpsm.com. Thanks so much, and I hope you will tune in for the next episode.